All right, last time we talked about the causes of the Great Depression. Now we're going to talk about the major effects. The first one had to do with bank failures. Um, a big reason why so many banks failed is because they gave all these loans out, especially to people investing in the stock market. That's the whole idea of margin buying, where people would put 10% down, they would borrow 90% of that money to pay for the stocks. And the banks were the ones that gave these loans out. The problem is when the stock prices go down, a lot of those investors couldn't pay the loans back, so they defaulted on it. Now, how this affects the rest of the world is the money that banks use to give out these loans come from other people. People, once you invest your money in the bank, they can use your money to give loans out. That's how banks make money. So if a bank fails, your whole life savings could be lost, no matter if you invested in the stock market or not. Um, as a result, if they thought that a bank was going to close, a lot of people tried to withdraw all their money as fast as they possibly could, and this led to bank runs, and banks would totally fail after everybody got rid of all their money. From 1930 to 1932, 5,000 banks had failed. There's some states that didn't have any banks at all during this time period. All right, this is a picture of a bank run. People are trying to get whatever money they could possibly get as soon as they could. And a lot of people, if you're at the end of the line, you might have nothing to show for it. Pretty terrible things. And this is why a lot of people from that time period stopped trusting banks and started putting their money in underneath their sofas. Number two, business failures. Since people didn't have enough money to buy products, businesses started laying people off as much as possible. Since they were stuck with debt and a lot of people are unemployed, they can't buy the stuff. Banks are failing, so they couldn't get any loans from the banks to pay for day-to-day operations. And again, as I said, it leads to employees being laid off because they're the easiest people to get rid of to kind of help out with your funds when you're running a business. Just to show you how bad business was during this time period, if you look at the gross national product of these years, which is the total value of goods and services produced in a year, 1929 they were doing pretty well, $103 billion total. But by 1933, that was cut in half, 56 billion. Businesses are failing all over the place, or just stopped producing things because nobody was buying it anyway. Business continued. 1930 to 1931, more than 50,000 businesses went bankrupt. So that means a lot of people are out of work as well. Unemployment was 3.2% in 1929, but by 1932, it's almost 1 in 4 people being unemployed. So obviously, the last one is like number three, joblessness. 1929, only 1.5 million were unemployed, but a couple years later, due to the Great Depression, 15 million. For the people that did remain in their jobs, they either had decreased wages or hours. So instead of working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, you'd work 20 hours a week and not enough to pay your bills. To show the discrimination and racism at that time, African Americans usually were the first workers to be fired. Here's just a couple images of people suffering from the Great Depression. This nice, dapperly dressed man has this nice car. That doesn't look like a Model T. It's a pretty expensive car, and he's pretty much giving it away for $100 because he lost everything on the stock market. Homelessness became a major problem. People couldn't pay their bills, so they couldn't pay rent or their mortgages. These are people on online trying to look for a job. Prospect doesn't look too good. Too much competition. Signs were put up in different towns saying, "Don't come here looking for work because we don't have any." What does this look like? These guys are actually wearing their resumes in the street. They had no shame because they had no money. They would take any job they possibly could. And if you look at some of the descriptions, they actually had some pretty good experience. One thing a lot of city people did when they got laid off, they started selling apples for 5 cents in the city. This is a very famous picture from Dorothea Lange. This is a woman. She's been searching all over the Midwest looking for a job with not one, not two, but three children. Um, and you just see the desperation on her face, and just she doesn't know how she's going to take care of the children. It's one of those great pictures. Um, People had to depend on soup kitchens from the Salvation Army and the Red Cross and bread lines to help get a meal. They didn't have enough money to afford it. Those are the African Americans waiting online for a job. Again, they're usually the first ones fired. This is a soup kitchen actually set up by Al Capone in Chicago. Look how skinny these guys look, and that doesn't look like the best meal, but anything is probably good this time. Those are called shanty towns, also known as Hoovervilles, named after the president. That's what they blamed it on. You can see their makeshift houses. This is actually in Seattle, Washington. They would just set up in parks, use anything they could. These guys are scavenging for a place to live. Thank you. Have a great day.